If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review for you guys. This one, another huge release in the world of progressive metal that was out this weekend on the weekend of November 4th, 2022. I am talking about the latest offering from one of the most brilliant yet insane artists I have ever heard in my entire life, and that is, of course, the one and only Devin Townsend, of course. And we're talking about his latest offering, LIGHTWORK, well, and NIGHTWORK. But we're going to be talking about both albums together in this review, even though there might be a surprise when we talk about NIGHTWORK. You just have to stick around. So, of course, yeah, Devin Townsend's, again, probably the biggest mad scientist, mad genius in the world of progressive music as far as like the last few decades. And of course, Devin being in Strapping Young Lad, which is one of the best industrial metal bands of all time. Also the Devin Townsend Project, the Devin Townsend Band, amongst other things that this guy has done, even performed with Steve Vai. So yeah, Devin's been all over the place. Now, I've talked about the last two releases, at least, which would have been Z2. I think I even covered the 2016 album. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I think that was like the Devin Townsend Project. I think. Transcendence, that's what it was. And then Empath, which came out in 2019. So I've talked about the last several Devin Townsend albums, but now we're talking about LIGHTWORK and NIGHTWORK. But with LIGHTWORK, what's interesting about it is that it's very lush. Then again, whenever you're listening to Devin Townsend, you're going to come across a ton of lush production as far as how everything's layered, how everything's constructed and worked together, and just creates tons of moods, tons of atmosphere, and tons of emotion. What's interesting, though, with LIGHTWORK is the fact that, with this first disc, LIGHTWORK, it's largely softer tracks, but it has a couple of moments where it gets a little bit more, I don't want to say like metal, more like hard rock, kind of. Like, there's some moments where it gets a little more in the hard rock vein of things, while most of the time it just follows that very soft, lush, emotional, like progressive rock. And all these songs here on LIGHTWORK, I mean, kicking things off with Moon People, which has this kind of like, I don't want to say hip-hop feel, but it has more of like an uplifting beat to it. And there's even a moment in the middle of the song where he says, "Stop it." And that's because conceptually with LIGHTWORK, and even whenever we talk about NIGHTWORK, conceptually it's all about the state of the world and how you should try and not focus on the negativity and focus more on positivity, on how you should live your life. Even if you have mental health issues, try and find some things you enjoy doing and just stick to doing that instead of focusing on all the bullshit going on in the world, whether it's the pandemic or other bullshit. So I like how it's like, and I like how in the parts leading up to that moment where it says "stop it," it sounds like the music was starting to get a little bit kind of chaotic, even though it's not in the metal context, it's more in that prog context, where it gets a little bit chaotic, and then suddenly Devin says "stop it," and then the mood gets chilled out quite a bit. And really, that's kind of the vibe that you get on disc 1 with LIGHTWORK. It's like everything just has more of a chill calmness to it, which is really, really cool. It's relaxing, yet there are moments where it can get a little bit gnarly, but they always subdue it down to its most basic element. Other tracks that I really enjoyed on this first disc, like the song Heartbreaker, it's kind of like I kind of view that track lyrically as sort of how do I describe it? Kind of like the best breakup song, in the sense that after you had your heart broken by someone that you were in love with, you just try and find ways to move on and like get your mind back in the right place and try and find somebody else that might be better for you. That's kind of the lyrical theme and kind of the vibe, musically even, that I get with that song. Dimensions, which gets kind of put in all sorts of different directions, and even the big choruses, like really this whole album, both discs, I could just say huge choruses that can stick into your head and get you feeling like you can go out and conquer the world or feel at peace with yourself. And Dimensions, really, it's like this one just kind of, like I said, goes everywhere that you can think texturally in terms of songwriting. Celestial Signals, kind of like, again, one of those more softer tracks, but I really enjoy it because it gives you, again, that relaxing feel. Vacation, very much in the same way, except even softer. And then we get to Children of God, which kind of manages to balance out almost everything about Disc 1, where you get a couple of moments where it gets into that, like, hard rock edge, but still maintaining that relaxation, that calmness that Lightwork is really able to deliver into your head. It's like all these lyrics and like even the vocal performance here on Lightwork from Devin just puts you into a nice like dreamscape, where it's like you're just laying there relaxing. Sometimes it can get a little uncomfortable whenever Devin's vocals get a little kind of out of control, but I like how he subdues it down back to his more calm range, which Devin's such an amazing fucking singer, which should be a given whenever you listen to anything that Devin does. But yeah, Lightwork, it's just... Wait a second. Oh no, the darkness is coming in! No! Yes, the darkness is here. Because now on to talking about Nightwork. So yeah, cheesy, dramatic bullshit there, but it was a good transition to talk about Disc 2, Nightwork, which, right out of the gate with Starchasm Part 2, you know it's about to get heavier on a good chunk of this. And this track, Starchasm Part 2, definitely feels like something straight out of Strapping Young Lad's catalog of the past, which is really cool because it has that like nice balance of industrial influence as well as some really cool grooves. And then you even get a little bit of the classic Devin Townsend humor on the track Stampy's Blaster, the following track. It's just 37 seconds of just blast beats and a big uplifting choir that says, I love you all, may your days be filled grace, let your heart be filled with love. So it's just funny, but it was cool. It was like an epic choir on top of blast beats, which sounds like it shouldn't work, but it does. I mean, bands like Flesh God Apocalypse have done well with that kind of stuff, and that's what this kind of reminded me of a little bit, was Flesh God Apocalypse. But then it gets into Factions, which is the heaviest song of the album, and maybe my favorite song of the album, because it's practically a death metal song musically. You know, you got some, like, crazy chugs, some blast beats, evil, gross, brutal tremolo riffs. Like, this song kind of encapsulates elements of bands like Decapitated, maybe even a little bit of, like, Necrophagist, and a touch of Morbid Angel, which, then again, I wouldn't be too far off with the Morbid Angel influence, considering one of Devin's biggest influences is Morbid Angel. But it's kind of strange how it's clean vocals on top of death metal music, which Devin knows how to craft great melodies, like vocal melodies, on top of some brutal sections. And those triplet chugs you get there in the middle definitely gives me that Decapitated vibe. And then you get some like more kind of silly tracks like Yogi and Boogus, which those tracks definitely have a little bit of humor going in there. But then you get to Precious Sardine, the longest track of Nightwork at over 10 minutes, and the longest track across both discs. Kind of a weird song because it's mostly that calm 80s pop vibe that Lightwork has, but then it gets into this like cool like dance section that kind of does get dragged out a little bit. Then it gets really heavy towards the end, and then it finishes off with more of those like softer 80s pop kind of atmospherics. And then like Children of the Dog, which is a reprise of Children of God, which was a nice like continuation to kind of continue off from where Children of God left off and just conclude it. Sober, that song definitely feels like Pink Floyd, which is really cool. And then Carry Me Home, kind of, well actually Boogus actually kind of feels like a mixture of like a Western song and a Talking Head song. And then Carry Me Home, that was like a country Western song, which was pretty cool. So yeah, Nightwork, Devin was willing to get a little bit more experimental on a lot of songs, where Lightwork was experimental in its own right, but with Nightwork, like I said, you get more heaviness on a lot of these songs, especially in the beginning. You still keep that like calm, soothing, almost 80s pop vibe of Lightwork, but then you get like Western and country and dance rhythms going on a couple of tracks. So definitely continuing those like positive vibes, lyrically speaking, throughout, and especially with Carry Me Home, basically like the best like romance song, that lighthearted romance song I've ever heard, at least in recent times. But yeah, of course, overall, combining both albums, Lightwork and Nightwork, the production, lush, well layered, crazy epic, and like every time you get into these like epic moments, it's just so grand. And that's something Devin's been known to do well for many years. I know that from the last two albums, Transcendence and Empath, where you get those epic, grand moments. It's like, holy shit, where are we going now on this bumpy, not a bumpy ride, but this amazing roller coaster ride of emotions. So overall, Devin hit it out of the park once again. I mean, all of the albums I've listened to from this guy since Z2 in 2014 have just kept getting better and better. Now, this one, the only thing that drags it down, like I said, was in Precious Sardine, where that like dance rhythm kind of got dragged on for too long. So that's the thing that I feel drags this album down for me. But this is still a fucking amazing album. 9.5 out of 10 for both Lightwork and Nightwork combined. The flow of it all is wonderful. There's some cool humor, but of course it's all about trying to calm your mind, think positive, think about your love life, think about family and friends. And Devin, just God bless Devin Townsend. The day he eventually leaves this earth, hope that the heavens above take good care of him, because he deserves it. So that is my review of Lightwork and Nightwork by the great Devin Townsend. Of course, this is all my opinion. What did you guys think of Lightwork and Nightwork? Let me know in the comments section below, and until next time, horns high. See you guys later.
I'm very mad right now. You're kidding me. You are kidding me.
Nah.
He was kidding me! Bruh!
No, I'm not.
No!
I win.
Are you kidding me? No!
I had 4.
I was one card away! One card!
Clutch.
No, dude! Unbelievable. I had 3 7s and a wild card, as well as 3 8s, 2 9s. I was there, dude. No!
So, yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, I whooped his ass.
Boo! Trash game!